All right, welcome everyone to the 5th Pride of Arizona podcast. I am Davis Hung. I'm your host for today, and today we have a very special podcast. We have the 4 Pride of Arizona drum majors, which is really awesome to have you guys. So we're going to quickly go through and introduce ourselves. So go ahead and say your year in the Pride / your year in college, the instrument you originally were in the Pride on, because I believe all of you played an instrument before you went for drum major, and your rookie show. Let's go ahead and do it like that. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
I'll go ahead, go first. My name is Diego Beitia. I am in my 4th year of my music education degree at the U of A. This is my 4th year in the Pride, and I play horn. So when I was marching, I played mellophone. And my rookie year show was Bruno Mars, 2017.
Awesome. Bruno Mars is one of those shows that comes up in every single podcast because it's such a great show. Mm-hmm. But yeah, all right. Maybe we go in order of seniority from here. So.
That'd be Javi.
All right. Well, my name is Javier. This is my 5th year in the Pride. I'm a junior. My major is music education. And my rookie show was Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Nice.
Yeah. That was also Professor Shootman's first show also.
True, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Huh. All right, Jake, are you older than me or am I older than you?
We've had this conversation before.
Forget.
On March 20th, 2000.
June 29th.
Okay, so I'm older.
Then you go first.
All right. Well, I'm Jake. I played tuba in the Pride for 2 years. My second year or last year was I was one of the tuba section leaders. I'm a junior, and I'm also a music education major. And then I, in addition to playing tuba in the band, I also do tuba as my main instrument in the School of Music.
Awesome. And that brings us to Max. Also, wait, Jake, what was your rookie year show?
Oh, it was Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
My rookie show was Justin Timberlake as well. My name is Max. This is my 3rd year in the Pride. I'm a junior studying material science and engineering. My main instrument I played in Pride was mellophone. So me and Diego were in a section together for 1 year, right? It's only one.
Yeah, it was 1 year. 1 year over that.
And we were in pep band together too, so we go back. Was that it? I already said my rookie show was Justin Timberlake. I think I covered all the bases.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of cool that JT rookies outnumber everyone in this call. That's pretty interesting.
That's true, huh?
Yeah. So I'm also a JT rookie, and it's cool that a lot of the time in these discussions we talk about our rookie years and kind of that first experience with the Pride. And this is going to be especially important because we're all like more senior members. We've been here for a while. We've seen a lot of things happen. So yeah, it's going to be really awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So,
Hold on, I forgot.
Oh yeah.
I play baritone. That's what I played before. And for a brief half a season, I also played tuba.
I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this. Because for pregame, the cymbals are set up behind, and I remember seeing Javi suddenly appear with the tubas. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you played tuba.
It was the greatest switch ever. We'll get into that later, but.
Oh, man. All right. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and start off with some sort of basic stuff. So quarantine school year stuff. So this year's been crazy. And I'm sure you guys, especially because we're getting into some of the people that are approaching the end of their time in college. So I'm just curious how you guys have been handling everything crazy going on and sort of the whole shift from being completely like in person in school, to being almost entirely online on Zoom. So what has that transition been like for you guys?
Man, it's just like, I mean, there's moments where like I'm walking around on campus now, like to go to one of my classes or something, and I see like a wear a mask sign or something, and you get that moment where you're like, oh wow, this really happened. Like this is not normal right now. But it's, we have those moments, and we just got to keep going. Everything's still moving along. For me, when it all first hit, I definitely, hit a wall where I was like, oh, what is like everything that I have based my life around up to this point is none of it's happening anymore. Like, what do I do? My existence is being a student, and I can't properly be a student right now. So what do I do? So, I started to shift my focus a little bit, and I think the best way to deal with not having these opportunities that are regularly open to us is to focus on bettering yourself in another way. So for me, I've gotten into like electronic music and how to control MIDI stuff and stuff like that. Getting into that section of stuff, because we don't usually have classes on that in the music ed degree.
Right.
So I'm trying to better myself that way,
Yeah.
But no, it's a lot. It's for anybody. It's a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It's extremely difficult, specifically for music majors, and just we're so used to, even music ed students, we have lessons. We have a primary instrument. So for me, I've gone back a couple times now and done in-person lessons, and it's been relatively successful. Besides the distance, maybe I'm like, I don't know, 25 feet from Dr. Trotman, to a professor here, but it's still good. He offers me some advice, but it's nothing really, like it. Basically, the only benefit of just being in person right now, because we're limited in speech, I'm limited in my sound because I have like protective equipment on.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much harder to breathe specifically for tuba.
Oh
It
yeah.
takes in so much air. So it's just that much more difficult, cumbersome to deal with. But it's like that first time I went back, I was like, oh yeah, this is what it's like to play for another person, because that's definitely a huge skill that we're all kind of missing out on in the music world. Marching band, even people who do marching band who aren't necessarily music majors, they're still musicians, regardless of whether you choose to continue on with music in your life or not. You're still a musician no matter what.
Right.
So right now, playing, our audience is each other, and I think that's it's great in some ways that we get to go back to that. Especially U of A has done a pretty good job, I think, with trying to mitigate how we go back in person.
Right.
And the fact that we're able to even play at all, but some colleges can't play at all. So it's awesome to kind of get back in that playing mode at a consistent time, 3 times a week, playing for each other. But then also, we're kind of going to lack that audience at a football game. But
right.
I'm looking forward to it either way. Just being with everybody again. It's
it's definitely really cool to finally to exist in person to a certain degree, even if we have all these limitations. We have masks, we have distance, we can't really have many people watching us. Just like even rehearsing, it feels like a step into normalcy we haven't had in months. So definitely having that, and like when the drumline, we came out on Monday, I believe it was the first time that the drumline played with the Winds full ensemble style. We came out and we saw you four on the podiums. It felt normal, and we almost I made a joke to the snare section leader that we kind of had a front ensemble on Monday, because the drum set player, who's usually behind the band when the drumline can't be there, was at the very front. So it felt very yeah. But it was definitely really cool to play with you guys, and we'll be working on more of that in the future, which is really exciting. So
yeah.
Max, Javi, anything on how the year's been for you guys so far?
Well, I mean, being the only non-music major out of the 4 of us, personally, I think it wasn't as bad as I think music was well, it didn't have as bad as an effect as it did on music classes. Like, for engineering specifically, like, we don't necessarily need to be in person. I mean, if you have labs, yeah, there's that drawback. But, I mean, really, I think the curriculum for my classes was easier online. Granted, I'm more of an in-person learner myself, but I think initially it was more adjusting to the new lifestyle was kind of difficult. But like halfway through, once I realized that, this isn't really working anymore, I kind of had to look past all the false expectations that, you'd get from anyone. And no one knew what was happening, so you had to take everything that anyone said with a grain of salt. And that still kind of how it's going on now. Like, they're saying, oh, we're going to be back at this time, or this is going to happen. Spring break is canceled, which it's still kind of far away, so maybe it'll change. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like halfway through you realize that, and now you kind of gotten used to it, and we're just kind of pushing through it and really looking forward to when it's over.
Yeah.
And for bands specifically, I mean, I think Arizona, the University of Arizona, is the only Pac-12 band being able to play
At least
right
one
now.
of the only, because we have the ability to kind of set up. We're not going to be in the stands because that's another limitation we have to deal with. But obviously, there are things in the works, and our president, President Robbins, is a huge advocate for the Pride, and he's been super helpful this entire time. He visited us on Monday. He pulled up in his golf cart and like waved to us and talked to us. It was really cool. And he's always been like making sure that like he understands that a football game isn't really a real football game without a college marching band, especially in our circumstance. So we are doing our best to try to make sure that we are involved and safe about it. But yeah, I think we might be one of the only. So yeah.
It's crazy to me that last time prior to starting rehearsal 2 weeks ago, the last time that any members of the Pride got together was in Las Vegas when we played at the Pelican. And then that's when we found out that we had to go home because they were canceling everything. Well, at first they just said, oh, no one's allowed into the games anymore. And then the next day they were like, oh yeah, the game. And so it's nuts. And then going from there, I don't know. For me, school is very difficult online. I have a very hard time motivating myself to do like anything on. So that's been something to work through. And yeah, I don't know. It's just rough. But I'm glad that we are now somewhat in person.
Oh yeah.
And we're doing that. So
yeah, I definitely agree. So I'm kind of in the boat where Max was at, where I didn't think that having everything online would be too big of a deal. The only thing is I'm a sociology major, and basically every professor is very much like human interaction is a huge thing in the class, and not having that sort of face-to-face in-person reaction is really messing a lot of my professors up. Fortunately, we're all kind of along in the semester enough where they're used to sort of how online teaching works and how online learning works for us. But there was definitely, I talked about this in the last podcast at the beginning of the year, where some professors were definitely figuring out how online classes work, and some had no idea what they were doing, and they decided to just pile on tons and tons of work to the point where it was almost unbearable because they were just so caught off guard by having to be online. I'm sure you guys may have seen maybe a little bit of that. But hopefully at this point we're getting a little more into the rhythm of things. But no matter what, things are definitely going to feel weird. So
Yeah, my favorite thing is when a professor asks for a volunteer and it's like a solid minute and a half of silence.
there's something about talking by yourself or asking a question like in a Zoom class that's so much scarier. Even if your face camera is off, just like the feeling of unmuting yourself. I have a question, and
Yeah,
like
you
talk. Yeah.
don't want to ask a dumb question either, because if you do, that people are just going to be judging you for it.
Yeah, because you can't see people's faces, you can't see like how people thinking, so people could be muted and cameras turned off, just like losing their stuff. They're like laughing so hard at the question you just asked, and you're just like, I am being judged, and it's a very weird experience. And especially if like you're in a classroom setting, usually the professor tells a joke, there's a little bit of a funny and like a little laugh, but like my professor told a joke today, it was just dead silent because everyone was muted. But it was like a funny like sociology joke too, but it was just like because everybody was muted. And even I know some professors like, oh, you can leave your mic unmuted so we can discuss as a class, but feedback happens and background noise happens and people watch YouTube happens, and class just feels very disconnected at this point, which is ironic because it's completely online. But
I will say I am proud that some of my professors have figured out how to share their screen.
yeah,
That is going better. I'll give them that. That is going much better. But no, like
Yeah.
honestly, most of my professors have figured out the whole Zoom thing and they're doing a pretty good job. But like,
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty rough at first.
I think it took one of my professors like 2 weeks worth of classes to figure out how to share a screen and share.
Oh, share
See,
sound
that's
as
the
well.
trick. Sharing the sounds. That's oof.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a whole
'cause,
nother
like,
setting bar. It's crazy.
we went to the
What
whole first lecture like watching the videos, and
Videos, yeah.
we were trying to tell her, and she was just so into the videos that she didn't hear the rest of the class. So we literally spent like 30 minutes watching videos with no sound.
Yeah.
One of my professors who's has a doctorate in electrical engineering spent
Oh no.
like 3 whole days, which is an hour and 15 each, 3 whole days figuring out Zoom first days. It was awful. Like this dude gets paid to know that stuff,
Oh
and he
no.
just showed up for the first 3 days. It was kind of funny, but
Yeah, I know. I definitely had to do a lot of before the year started. I knew Zoom was going to be a big thing, so I did a lot of practices. So if you guys didn't know, before the year started, we had kind of like weekly Zoom meetings, and I was kind of put in charge of those, and I learned how to do breakout rooms. But the breakout rooms were super brutal because you have to assign one person at a time. Although I do know there is an option where you can assign people by their email before the meeting starts to breakout rooms. I didn't know how to do that, so I was basically just assigning person by person in about 100-person Zoom call, rookies, returners, everybody, staff put together.
God.
And I had people messaging me. I remember the first meeting, we got all together and I set everyone into breakout rooms, and I got like 20 messages on every single like medium for personal messaging. I got Slack messages, I got Facebook DMs, I got Instagram DMs, I got Snapchat messages, all about like, hey, this person's in the wrong one, can you move them? So I was like sitting in the starting lobby by myself doing all of this stuff because I was like, I can't be in the drumline one right now because I can't listen to drumline stuff while also moving like the entire world. So definitely Zoom is deceptively complex. So,
Ben
but
kind
also,
of had a head start in learning all Zoom stuff.
exactly. I know one of my professors, he went super hard at learning everything. So he has a setup where he can share screen and then push a button and it goes to a camera that's over his desk so he can write out the like explanations for stuff. And it's been like very good in that sense. And he has a background that's just a classroom. It's really funny. But yeah, I miss in-person class. I can't wait to get back to it. I know we're in I believe the second stage or the first stage of going back in
Yeah,
person.
we're in stage like 1.5.
Yeah, like some of the classes are back in person, but
Mhm.
some of them aren't. The only classes
I
that are
think
allowed
it's classes under 30,
yeah,
like under 30 students.
yeah, and you also have to have had put the class as a in-person class, which means that this entire time you've been virtual, like you had to be. Those are the only classes that can go in person because I'm in a class where it was put as flex in person, so sometimes online, sometimes in person, and because of that, he cannot go in person yet, even though our class is only like 20-something people. So it's just that's like a very specific minutia thing that has to do with it. But obviously, staying safe and making sure that everyone's getting their COVID tests and making sure the apartments around the campus aren't going too crazy. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, but yeah, let's go ahead and move on here. So even though we've all been probably pretty busy, especially with Pride back in person, I'm sure we've had a little bit more free time, give or take. Not necessarily free time where you can spend like hours at a time doing whatever you want, but there are probably a little bit more moments where you're like, wow, I have an hour and nothing to do during it. So what have you guys kind of been doing to fill that space? I know Diego mentioned something about like MIDI, like electronic music, but
Dude, that's the thing is like, I don't know. I kind of had it in my head that like going fully online, like I'm still gonna be like as busy as I am at school. Like I'm still going to all my classes and stuff, but it's just online. I did not account for how much time I spend just traveling during the day. Because I'll have that. I'll have like 30 minutes or 40 minutes where I just have nothing to do. Because usually I'd be like, I don't know, getting ready for my next class or like walking somewhere or like eating food between classes.
yeah.
But like I'm at home. I can just walk to the
Chilling.
kitchen,
Yeah.
grab some food, and go back to my room. And I still have like 30 minutes. Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, definitely feels more relaxed in some ways, but also more panicked in other ways because Wi-Fi is almost like it's the lifeblood. If you don't have Wi-Fi or you're lagging or something's going wrong, especially since I'm taking exams now, I'm in a class where we do examity exams, which if you guys didn't know is a terrible way to do exams. It's basically you go into basically a Zoom call with a random test proctor. They proctor your exam. You have to leave your camera on the entire time, your mic on the entire time, and there's a whole list of rules. So One of them is that you can't have dual monitor setups, and before the test, you have to show the test proctor your entire room. So for my case, I have a laptop with a webcam, so I like pick up my laptop and physically move it around. And every time I've done one of those, I just get a room in the engineering library for like a couple hours. It's like a private study room, and I do it in there because I can't handle thinking about cleaning my entire desk and my entire apartment and make it, and also move my first monitor and like screw up my whole setup. But
Well, it also locks down your browser too, doesn't it?
no, it doesn't lock down your browser, but they monitor your screen and your face the entire time.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's where it'll get you.
Yeah, so there's no physical way, because even if you like, this was the first time for me. So I took my second Examity exam, and I had Discord open, which is like a voice communication thing, and he asked me to open my task manager and asked me to like close out of Discord. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, whoa, everything is. Yeah, Examity
Who are
is
you?
painful. Yeah, like, who are you to tell me to open up my task manager? It felt like one of those. Okay, I need you to give me access to. You actually have to give them the ability to control your screen so they could type in a code for Examity. It's very scary because it feels like, oh, give me access to your computer, and then all of your information gets stolen. That's like the feeling I get. But Examity is like one of the UA tools that it has in D2L. So
God, I've never had to use Examity. That sounds awful.
yeah, you never know. Maybe you'll have to use it next year. We'll see. Yeah, it's rough, but yeah. How's the rest of you guys been kind of using your free time?
Kind of business as normal for me, honestly. I mean, I live pretty close, like 20 minutes north, so I just kind of go visit my family on the weekends if I want to, or if they want to, of course. And sometimes they beg me to come visit them. Hanging out with a few close friends, being safe about it, of course, but yeah, it's not too much. I mean, I'm more motivated to do things now because, I don't know, I think it's just a psychological thing. It's like, I don't have necessarily more time, but like, since I can't do things, I want to do things. I think it's more of a motivation to just do more stuff.
Yeah, you just gotta like force yourself to go on that like night run, or like physically like will yourself to do things. I definitely relate to that.
Oh yeah, sitting down all day, that'll put clots inside you.
Yeah. Man. Anything else?
I do a lot of, I guess, electronic music as well. This summer I was able to get my hands on a Mac and a pretty nice like keyboard that I actually have like slid under my desk right here. I kind of have like a studio. You can't really see it from my Mac that I'm on right now, but I have it kind of set up, and the microphone kind of part of it to be where I can like, kind of to record stuff. And I've been working on a couple arrangements of some, whatever classic rock songs. I'm a big classic rock guy, so that's kind of my genre of choice. A few arrangements, lots of video games, lots of Warzone, Among Us, Rocket League. Actually, that's kind of my top three. I
Jake,
guess.
what's your color in Among Us? Like, what's your go-to?
Yeah.
I always end up being brown for some reason. I've never chosen it, but I'm always brown.
It's just the last color, and it's like, oh, the other colors are bad, so I'll just choose brown.
Yeah, it seems like red seems to be called out the most, but I was just in one that they were calling out Cayenne for.
Oh yeah, Cyan. Yeah, Cyan sus.
For being sus. Yeah, but I guess that's my top three.
Yeah. I usually do. Yeah, I've been playing Among Us as well, and my main color is usually yellow. And I did the thing where I put a little stem as my hat, and I have like the mini crewmate pack.
Yeah.
So I basically went in and I named myself Lemon, and I'm like, I'm Lemon, and this is lemon juice, my child.
Oh.
And yeah, definitely like it's important to stay communicative and like talk to people, and party games are a huge thing right now, especially with everything going on, because Among Us came out like in 2018 and wasn't hugely popular, and then exploded when COVID started happening, and a lot of streamers started looking for sort of games to kind of entertain themselves and have party games that they could play with a bunch of people, because most games is like 5 people is the max you could play with at one time. Among Us, you could have 10 different people every night. So
Yeah. The other thing that is good, I'm from LA, specifically Redondo Beach. So my home is pretty good 7.5 hour drive away. So most of my friends from high school, I convinced at least one of them to get a PS4. This is like when it kind of started, like in April. I was like, dude, you got to get a PS4, because that's what,
yeah.
so we can actually play. I'm like, this thing isn't going away anytime soon, so why not? So it's been fun playing with him. Couple other
Yeah.
friends, but
Yeah, I'm also in that same boat. I mean, I don't talk to my friends, but I'm like from San Diego, so SoCal sort of area, and nice 5.5 hour drive for me. Um, but yeah, I've been like, my parents kind of forced me to do weekly calls with them where they'll say, "Hey, to have time to talk," and I'll FaceTime them, and of course it'll just be me and my dad and my mom just talking about things and how weird high school marching band, the fact that it's not really happening is, and especially it's weird because it's my brother's senior year in high school and he was like in the marching band. He's been very chill about it. Like he is. I know there are a lot of people freaking out when senior year kind of got canceled for them in a sense, where they no grad night, no graduation, and sort of threw a wrench into things. But my brother's been very chill about it. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna graduate. He's got like he is way more set up than me because he has a full plan. He's like, okay, I'm gonna hang out at home, finish high school, then I'm going to go to community college for a couple years, transfer to one of the UCs. His grades are already better than me, and he's already way smarter than me, so he could easily just get into a UC. But he's like, no, I'm going to save the money. And my parents like are fortunately very supportive of that. They're not like oh, you need to go to an Ivy League school or you're a disgrace or anything. But yeah, he definitely ended up being like second trial is the better son. But
I only call my parents when I need to let them know I'm going to buy something on their Amazon
oh
account.
yeah, I also sometimes call like, hey mom and dad, so I have this thing and I need to give my friend gas money, so can you put a little more money in my account? Oh yeah,
There you go.
such is life. Yeah. But yeah, so for me anyway, obviously I've been doing some of the same stuff. I've been trying to cook more at home just because I want to save money and not eat out as much. More recently, Flux Indoor Percussion has been doing their camps, and they're doing some kind of a season. It's not like a full season because WGI isn't really having anything this year, but it's basically just like clinics and a show and everything. And I actually got callbacks that I'm going to this weekend, which I'm excited for. The callbacks are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and those are going to be, if I make it, then it'll be every Saturday for the season. So
Congratulations, that's awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, super cool.
It's Casa Grande, so it's only about a 50-minute drive, but if you miss an exit, it adds 45 minutes to it.
Oh yes, it does.
Yep. And
I've been on my way to many academy camps where I've made that mistake.
the car I was in definitely we went up last week. We missed it. We missed
Off-roading
it.
for a little bit.
Yeah, and we had to start gunning it to try to make it in time. We made it in time, but we were freaking out because, I mean, the two people in the front were freaking out. I was sleeping. Like, I woke up for a second when they were like, we missed the exit, and I looked at my phone, and I'm like, oh, yeah, 45 extra minutes, and we have 30 minutes to get there. Okay, whatever happened. I went back to sleep, and by the time I woke up, it was like, it started at 1, and it was like 12:50, and we had made it there, and we're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll be a lot of fun. Getting like it'll feel more like a normal thing, like early mornings, late nights on Saturdays. We're all pretty used to that, so
Oh yeah.
definitely doing stuff like that. And I've also been running and biking and all that just to try to stay more athletic. Because I don't,
Okay.
yeah. Because usually the fall season is when I like feel really good about my health, and then the spring season is when I get really tired and just sit and like kind of gain weight.
That's
Yeah, and especially since we're not doing like a bunch of intense marching and stuff, I've kind of like urged myself, like you're talking about earlier, like, okay, you have to run today and like drink water and eat something healthier than like cooking rice and eggs and spam every day, because that's what I ate for like 3 weeks in a row. Spam asubi. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and move on to a topic that we that you all probably know a little bit about, the Pride of Arizona. So obviously, we're all members of the Pride of Arizona. We all have marched multiple years. We all have been in multiple shows. And I am curious because obviously this is a more special one because at this point we are all in student leadership, and we have a lot of us have been in different leadership roles over the years. So I am curious what leadership experience you had before the Pride. So a lot of the time we have different members in different sections saying, "Oh, I was drum major in high school," or "Oh, I was section leader in high school." So I'm just curious what kind of leadership experience you all had in high school or before the Pride.
Here, one of you guys can go first because I have a picture of little high school drum major Diego actually.
I'll go ahead and go. So in high school, I was like co-section leaders because like we meshed the trombones and baritones together. We called ourselves Tone and Bone, and we like. I know. Right? I look back on it, I'm like,
No, that's amazing. That's perfect.
and we had. It was so cool. We had our own special. The section leader carried around a pink backpack, and it was full of blocks. So like how like people use chips or things like that. Dots. We had blocks, neon pink, neon yellow blocks, and they had like trombone and baritone. They had names because I think everybody in the section. So like there was one block that was yours, and then I think when you graduated, you got to keep that block. So and then I drum major my senior year of high school, and then I went to Eastern Arizona, which is a super small community college in Thatcher, Arizona, which is probably about 2 hours away from Tucson, about northeast of here. And I was drum major there, and because believe it or not, they are the only community college marching band in the state of Arizona. So
that's awesome.
Seriously, like, I mean, everyone else has like little pep bands and stuff like that, but like as for like a legit marching band where like we have uniforms and things like that, and we actually do a show, we were the only community college marching band.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that was fun. And then I also my final year there, I was the student director for the symphonic band and the men's chorus.
Awesome.
So
what did you do for that?
Like it's almost like what a GTA does in like for like symphonic band here. Like essentially like my director, he had all these songs and he was like, okay, you get to pick one and you get to direct it. Like you get to teach them. I'm just gonna sit back and watch and give you critiques, but like you get to direct, you lead the lesson. So like that was for both directors, both the choir director and the band director. So essentially I would just come up with lessons and teach the choir and teach the band, and then afterwards they give me critiques, and
That's
awesome.
And then I would conduct those pieces for the concert.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was parade drum major in high school, which is a very Southern California thing, basically parade competitions, which is kind of crazy thing to think about, but it's very much basically there's a set list. This is SCSBOA, so Southern California Bands. There's a set list of different parade marches, so like Stars and Tries Forever. I did the Gridiron Club. I don't know. I did Purple Carnival as well. And basically, the parade drum major, they spin a mace, which I know is kind of a thing that's very like theatrical out here. You don't see it too often, but this is very much like there is a judge at the line that grades your like conducting. They grade your esprit de corps. There's like a whole grading system. And it's a very Southern California thing. Southern California is the only place where parade competitions really exist. But I highly recommend watching some of this stuff because it's not about who's better at marching fast tempos and it's all about knowing what you're doing and knowing that you have like 2.5 minutes to leave an impression on the judges. And there are some parade drum majors that are way better than I ever was. But
yeah, I've seen some of those videos. It's really crazy.
Yeah,
and like,
there's
the things that they grade you on are really intense too.
Oh yeah, like
at U of A band day, they used to have it was either a drum major caption or a drum major score. I know they at least scored them, but like even when you're on the podium, you're being graded for your esprit de corps, your conducting. at one point, the drum majors had to mark time because everyone on the field had to be marching and marking time.
It's like some old school stuff. I remember seeing some Pride Arizona videos with the drum major marking time the whole time. That's crazy to me. I can't imagine marking time for a whole show. Even marching a whole show is difficult, but just marking time and conducting at the same time,
I want them to bring that score back. Not necessarily the marking time thing.
Yeah, but like
scoring
the drum majors, yeah.
It'll put a little more pressure on them to be better.
Because like I know for parade drum majors, it's almost all on them because what happens is that they have a whistle and they whistle off into the step off. If you mess that up, that's a penalty. If the drum major is out of step, that's a penalty for the full band. If the drum major is out of time, so yeah. So basically, there's like out of step, which means instead of left, right, you're going right, left, and then there's out of tempo, which is like you're just walking, you're not really in time with the beat. But there's a video out there of me dropping at my final parade competition in high school, dropping my mace, which was a bad penalty. But I picked it up really quick to the point where the trombones who were the front rank behind me did not know that I dropped. Only my mom and my mom's friend saw me drop, and my mom's friend started crying, and it was like, typical senior year experience.
Hey, dude, if you can recover from a mistake, like that's arguably more.
Right.
That's a better skill.
And there's also like very typical, like very like specific. Like there's a flag on the judges booth because there's a judges booth like in the middle of the parade route, and you have to salute starting 6 steps before and then 6 steps after. And they actually will write on your card like 5 and 7 if you did one too many in front, or they'll actually write that. And if you don't salute the flag, that is a huge penalty. So it is a lot of stress, but it was also a lot of fun. And before you show your nice high school drum major photo, this is let me
want to see this.
Yeah, this is the only photo my dad took of me at a parade.
Look at you! Oh, that's so cool.
It's a really bad photo, but. Yeah, it was.
That's a cool uniform, though. I like it.
Oh yeah, that was our.
We're a fan of. I'm a fan of all white uniforms. They're cool.
Yeah, and in the background you see they had like the Q-tips, the huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like old school. Their drum major also wore a kilt, which I think is super awesome. But yeah, let's go to Diego. Let's talk about your high school.
Sure, dude. I can't really. That's like. I'm not. It's not gonna be cooler than that. I can tell you that.
Nah. It's cool.
No, I went to Florence Wells High School here in town in Tucson, and I actually originally played trumpet. I played trumpet like 5th grade, 6th grade, through junior high and freshman year of high school, and then I kept playing trumpet all the way through in jazz and stuff like that. But come my sophomore year, we didn't have any horn players at all, but we had one freshman horn player coming in who was going to be playing mellophone. Not having any horn players, we didn't have any section leaders. Yeah. So I told my director, like, hey, if you need anybody, I'm down to play some horn. But I had told her this like maybe like a semester before this freshman came in. So I walked into band camp my sophomore year, and she hands me a mellophone. She says, "Congratulations, you're the mellophone section leader now." I'm like,
awesome.
No problem. Cool, can do. And so that was my first foray into like student leadership, and that was fun. That was really cool. But then my junior and senior year of high school, I was drum major, and that was like, it was everything I could have asked for. It's really, really awesome. It's just getting that performance experience that young is priceless, because I don't know, it's had a big effect on who I've become today. And on that subject, there is a picture of little baby drum major Diego.
Yeah.
In my uniform. That's me.
Awesome.
That's me staring at the football game trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I did not have a full understanding of the game of football until I got to like freshman year of college.
A lot of the drum majors that were like field drum majors when I was in high school had the same thing. They had no idea what was happening on the game. And then like they would hear me shouting like, "Oh yeah," because I kind of knew what was going on, and they were like, "What's going on? You good?" Because they wouldn't understand like, "Oh, we're about to kick a field goal." It's like I remember we were watching a game, and we were like getting ready. We thought they were going to go for a touchdown, but they went for a field goal. And one of the drum majors was so confused because he thought he was like, "Oh, they were getting ready to throw a touchdown," and then the ball just popped out of the popped out into the end. And it's like,
oh
didn't
no!
even see, like the they thought like the quarterback was the one that like took the 3 steps back and lined up for the kick, and it was like, but yeah, football definitely one of those things that you don't need it to be a drum major, but knowing what's happening will definitely help when you're.
It makes everything immensely smoother. Immensely smooth. No, I just knew when the ball stopped, I was supposed to call the band.
Yeah.
Thankfully, now with college football games, I know a little bit more what's going on.
Yeah, and also you have someone in your ear telling you exactly what's happening and exactly when to play.
Exactly, that too. We have somebody, usually the GTA and another drum major. Usually there's 2 of us on the podium that are all calling the tunes and everything. So we have a couple pairs of eyes up there. But no, after that, I came into the Pride, and then junior last year and this year I've been drum major. It's been a wild ride. If you would have told, if you would have told like junior year of high school Diego that they were going to be like even at all student leadership in the Pride, he would have never believed you.
And then you have the Pride of Arizona drum major uniform with a little bit of blood on it from Band Aid.
Yeah. We'll tell that story later.
Yeah, we will tell that story later.
I gotta explain that, tell you guys the backstory to that.
We'll explain that later.
Yes.
Suspense.
Yeah. All right. How about Max and Jake? What is your guys' high school or before the Pride leadership experience?
I mean, hey, the seniority goes to Jake, so I'll let him go first.
The seniority?
Yeah, by like 4 months or something. Yeah, David, it's kind of funny that you brought up I guess you call it like pass and review or whatever for the drum major competition. That's I remember my dad telling me when he was in high school, he went to school in a little town of American Canyon. It's basically Napa in California. But that's all they did. And this was in the 80s, late 80s. They didn't have marching band competitions as we know them today. It was pretty much just DCI.
Yeah.
That was the way that they did them. But typically high schools, you just parade. It was parade competitions.
Yep.
It's interesting that you guys still did them because, I'm 2 hours north of you from San Diego. And I didn't do any of those things. We still did SCS BOA circuit. Not as many of those competitions as we did a different one, but I still knew about it. But yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up because I was trained like to do mace stuff too, but I never did the competitions. It was just for like community parades.
Yeah.
I did like very basic stuff, but it's crazy challenging. Like to do that in a competition, that huge props to you, man.
I mean, my first year in my junior year as parade drum major, my first parade competition went pretty good, and I'm not even ashamed. I got like last place drum major. Like I did not feel bad about that at all. So parade competition, you have to go at like a nice strict 120 BPM. So that's like the one tempo that I have really solid in my head, and I was gunning it at like 135, 140. It was noticeably bad, but I definitely got better, and also I had a really bad posture, and I was really nervous because like I'm standing this one person with like 50 people behind me by myself, like on a street. But yeah, there are definitely some, like you mentioned, there are some bands that only compete. Well, there used to be only parade, then it shifted more to field, and now it's mainly field, but there are still some groups there, like Diamond Bar High School, which is where I think Pacific Crest Drum Bugle Corps is. They only do parade and they kill it. And they are the most impressive. They have a whole they have a whole rank of just French horns, because for parade competitions, you go more traditional. Yeah. So like instead of mellophones, you use French horns. A lot of the time you'll see sousaphones instead of contras, even though for high schools, sousaphones are usually the standard anyway. I have seen some schools use contras in parade only because
they're starting to switch.
Right. Yeah. And also if you can't afford to have it.
There's my high school.
Yeah.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah. Maybe contras. Contras look so great. I can't imagine how heavy they must be. This is like a rocket launcher tuba. I can't imagine.
It's definitely a powerful feeling. I'm not going to lie.
The ultimate flex doing a hard horn snap with a.
Yeah. It's tough.
Emphasis on the snap. You'll break your collarbone.
There you go.
Yeah, you get a tuba. It's a bump. You get a little like callus right there. It's an honor. It's a badge.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was also a drum major in high school. Got a picture there. Got the
Ooh.
Look at that. Oh, that's a good one.
That's a
hair
nice
was not
photo.
spiky, but the sweat from our field show that we just did spiked it up, so that was cool. But yeah, I was 2 years drum major. I did a lot of like band stuff. So I was in the Tournament of Roses honor band. So I actually got to do that for 2 years as well.
That's so cool.
There's a shot of me on KTLA. I'm on the red circle. It's really
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, kind of.
Here you are.
Oh,
you
yeah.
I got some national TV time there. That's my claim to fame.
Nice.
And then there's the tuba section there. But yeah, that was definitely one of the cooler things I did in high school. I also did the SCSBOA honor band my senior year of high school, and I was able to get the principal tuba spot in that for the wind ensemble. So that was a lot of fun. Let's see. That was basically it. But it's but I just did a lot of I had opportunities. And I mean, my dad is a music teacher in California too. He was actually funny story. He was my music teacher in middle school for 2 years, for 6th and 7th grade. And in 7th grade, my history teacher was pregnant. So she took a leave for almost like the whole semester during the spring. And at the time, my mom was a substitute who subbed for her. So when
You
we
had both your parents?
I had both my parents on
That's crazy.
and Fridays. I had my dad for jazz band, my mom for history, and then my dad again for wind ensemble.
Oh no.
Because we did block schedules. So it was periods 1 through 6 on Monday, and then Tuesdays, Thursdays, 2, 4, 6. Wednesday, Fridays, 1 through 5. So 1 through 5 days, I had both my parents in 7th grade.
I'm sure you studied the hardest for those classes.
Well,
yeah. Your parents are gonna be like, yeah, you're failing the class.
I think I did. Well, the teacher came back. The teacher got pregnant, so she came back. But I think I ended up getting it was an honors class, so it's a little bit trickier. I mean, band, you just have to play your instrument. And you get
it's kind of hard to not get an A in band. I'm sure everybody always talks about that. All band directors are like, don't get a B in band. Like,
but yeah, that was and it was in 7th grade, so smack dab in the middle of awkward child development time.
Yeah, and having both of your parents at the school. And did you have any kids come and be like, hey, can your mom boost my test grade a little bit?
There was definitely some collusion there. No, I'm just kidding. It was like, it wasn't like bullying, making fun of me, but it was definitely like joking around.
Like joking around, like, oh, both your parents are teachers. Yeah.
It was
Wait, so I have a question. Did you call the mom and dad class, or did you call them Mr.
So I got this question a lot, actually.
Yeah, sure.
I can't remember.
Dude,
exactly.
Your brain's literally wiped your memory.
Did you just avoid talking to them at all? You were just like sitting there taking notes.
I remember if I had a question, I would just start talking. I wouldn't necessarily say like, hey, Dad, or hey, Mr. Buchan, or something. I think one time, just to be funny, I said, hey, Mom, like in the middle. Hey, Mom.
She's like, yes, honey, can I help you?
Yes, Jake.
Yes, dear. Let's. Oh my goodness.
So when the plague happened, no. It was like medieval history, so it was like
it was
like Black Plague stuff. So
dang.
Yeah, she taught me well.
Awesome.
There you go.
Man. All right. Well, I guess that leaves Max. So
it all started in elementary school. So there were 4 people in my beginning band in 4th grade. 4th grade? No, 5th grade. There was me, a clarinet. So I was clarinet section leader. I know, big honor, elementary school clarinet section leader. There's 1 trumpet and 2 snare drums.
That's amazing instrumentation. It's very balanced.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun time. Hot cross buns, but like a little more beat to the snare. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Not too eventful. And then in middle school, my middle school was the only school in Arizona, I think. It was either Arizona or Tucson, have a marching band. So in middle school, I tried out for a drum major for 8th grade, and I got it. So I was drum major in 8th grade at Cross Middle School. And then went to high school. You know, I played mellophone, of course, for marching band there as well. And then I got drum major my junior and senior year at Canyon Del Oro High School. And that was really cool too, because it was a really good school for the division it was in. So I really got like that leadership. And the high school hosted the Tucson leadership thing for Bill Humbert.
I went to that. Yeah.
CDO hosted that, so I kind of got a little more behind the scenes talks with Bill Humbert, and that was pretty cool too. In terms of leadership and band, I think that was all I had. And then, of course, drum major in Pride now.
Yeah, so CDO, also Professor Schumann's alma mater. He always talks about like the big trophy in your guys' band room. It's like, yeah, that was me.
When he was recruiting, so it was me and like a bunch of CDO people, because a lot of people from CDO go to U of A. So a bunch of us went in there, and pretty much the first thing he walks in and said, he's like, hey, you guys see that big trophy in there? Biggest one in the room. Like, yeah, you can thank me for that.
Oh my god.
You're that old? No. No. Yeah, go Dorados.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't really.
Once this goes live, you're done, Max. You realize?
Oh, I'm counting my minutes. You know.
Oh man, yeah, it's
You got a week until this goes live.
yeah, definitely that sort of. I didn't really have that because I think the most my high school did was we went to SDS BOA championships once, and that was in like 2008. So that was before I was like, that was when I was 8 years old. But we went in the division of 2A, which for those of you that are from Arizona, Jake knows this, but in SCSBOA, it goes up to 6A. So 1A through 6A as far as the divisions, and it's based on size and everything. But so it is also kind of ironic because the year after I graduated was the first time my band had been to championships since 2008. And I graduated just in time to miss it. But I was still happy for them. So what? They got 12 out of 12. Like, I mean, championships is championships. And it is SCSBOA is crazy as far as championships go. And that whole, like, watching the bigger bands, especially being from San Diego, like Mira Mesa High School is like the bigger, like that and Mount Carmel High School were the two SCSBOA bands that were like up there every year. Yeah. And then obviously there's like Arcadia is like in LA, and Arcadia is the one that hosts like what's widely considered in SCSBO to be like parade championships. Like they host huge parade competition. Like basically every band that does parade goes there. And I got to do that a couple years. And that is the one I dropped at, which had the largest amount of people. Arcadia call time also because it's far away, and my band competed earlier in the day, usually like 3 or 4 in the morning. So those were fun days of not sleeping to get prepared for the next day. But yeah, Jake, you had something there when I was mentioning like Arcadia and all that? Or?
Oh, well, I was just gonna. Arcadia was there, was in the Rose Parade when I did it my first year.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like, so after you're done with the Rose Parade, In-N-Out gives you free burgers. I don't know if you know this.
Yo.
Every band member, free burgers, a drink, like a Crunch Bar, and like an apple. It's like the best thing ever because that parade is long. Yeah. And so so the college bands, you know, there's normally a Pac-12 school and a Big Ten school that goes to the Rose Bowl. So those two bands get invited to perform in the Rose Parade. So the college bands get 2 burgers, and since the honor band was part of Pasadena City College, which is a community college there, we marched with some of the students there. We got 2 burgers, and so like
nice.
That's not an important detail to what I'm about to say. I said it because I like In-N-Out. Anyway, when we were done with the parade, Arcadia had already finished, and their uniforms are like white. You finish in a park. You go down the line, you get your burger or whatever. Their band is huge. They were all over like the whole park, and we're like, there's some more. It's like it is a massive band. So SCS, like Southern California, is tough for band competition. You know, compared to, I guess, what I've seen here at the couple band days. I mean, there's those higher division bands, like the higher division, the more people you have, bigger sound you're going to get, more intimidating it may seem. But I guess that's the point of divisions, so you can kind of like tier it out to be kind of competing with your
Yeah,
amount.
Yeah, I know for Arcadia anyway. Arcadia is, if you guys didn't know, is kind of like a special case because I'm relatively sure they don't actually have football. So basically at Arcadia, you had a choice. You do, for your PE credit, you either do PE or another sport, or you do marching band. So marching band was like the default for a lot of people, and they have like varsity and they have like so many bands. They have like 3 different drum lines. They have and they have like 3 different parade bands, and their main like varsity marching band has like 400 people in it every year. And they do shows where they invite their highest 2 level their highest 2 level drum lines to do their full field show. So they usually have like double the size of a drum line of like a standard drum corps. Because they have like 5 basses, they have like 4 tenors, and then like 7 or 8 snares, and they have 2 of those. So they basically just use it to flex on everyone every year. They're huge.
Yeah.
But
We should do that.
It's a different kind of culture. Definitely a different kind of band culture.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because you'd think, Arizona, Southern California, we're right there. Like you'd expect there to be a lot of crossover between those 2 cultures, but we have a very unique like style here as well. That's completely different from that, obviously.
Yeah.
And good in its own way. It's very, very interesting hearing you talk about it.
Oh yeah.
I did not grow up in that whatsoever.
Even in college too, like all those Midwest bands are super traditional. They're the ones that usually spin bass on the field, and then all the way in the South, like Texas and all them, it's very linear field shows. Like Texas Aggies is my favorite example to bring up. They only do straight lines and meshing stuff.
More military.
And of course,
stuff.
you got California, which is very field show driven, and like anyone in the Southwest is almost drum corps-esque, and it's like super contemporary.
Like, have you ever watched like an RCC like field show? Those things are crazy. They're basically drum corps shows, and it like blows my mind that exists at a college level. So, but yeah. All right. So now that we've talked a little bit about Pride and marching band and all that, we're gonna go into what I mentioned earlier, a little bit of trivia. So I tried to make these a little bit easier. So there are some of the questions on here you guys will know in like a heartbeat, and some that will take a little bit more of a, we'll see what happens. So let me go ahead and
that didn't make me feel any better, Davis.
All right.
All right, guys. Stupid.
Oh, this is legit too.
Yeah, I work hard on these. All right, let's go ahead. Are one. When did the drum line get new drums?
It was recently, wasn't it?
It was semi-recently.
Wait, are we all agreeing on an answer, or do we all pick our own answers?
You can all pick your own answers, or you can kind of just like figure it out.
I think it was
We're
2018.
keeping score. We'll see who wins.
All right.
Okay, that's fair. All right, I think it was 2018.
All right.
I'm pretty positive.
Okay, 2018.
I know you guys got the lights in 2018, I think.
That is correct. We did get the lights in 2018.
But I'm not sure about, are you asking about the actual drums?
The drums themselves. We got new Mapex drums.
That is 2017.
Now, when you say we, do you mean you?
No, I do not mean me. Or do I? All I will say is that they existed before I got here.
Okay, so yeah.
I'm going to say 2016.
I'm saying 2017.
All right.
I think I'm going to switch to 2017. Final answer.
I'll go 17.
All right. The answer is 2017.
Yeah.
We got the new drums. It was actually, I had to go on the Drumline Instagram and see when they started like leaking, like, we're going to have new drums. And they got them around this time in October in 2017. But the interesting thing is that you were using the older drums, or at least like the beta version of the new drums without the wraps on them for the 2017 band day. So that was very confusing.
I remember that.
These were the old drums, I think. They're kind of like black and red. And both of the, I really like these. They're very shiny. You'll see these for the different drums. Like I think the drum that we use for like the thunderclap that bass 6 usually does is one of those. And yeah, it's
You
nice.
know what they should play before the thunderclap?
What?
What song were we just talking about, Jake? Like Thunder.
Thunderstruck?
Thunderstruck. Yeah, they should play that right before.
Ooh, interesting. All right,
Wait, didn't that what ASU played like at their
maybe.
ASU?
If ASU played it, we cannot play it. All right. How long is the Rodeo Day Parade? We have all participated in this, I believe.
Oh.
And we all know how long and terrible of a day that is. But
This is
this is actual length.
okay.
Like in miles?
Yes, it's in miles.
I'm
I
gonna
think I know it. Can you give us a hint?
wait.
It's,
Before you give a hint, I have a guess.
all right.
I'm gonna say 2.5 to 3 miles.
All right.
2.5. 2.5.
I'm going with just under 2.
Okay.
I think it's like a mile and a half.
Ooh. All right. We got a nice spread here. Let's go ahead and
It's like
see.
a shorter parade route.
Max is
Ooh,
basically
okay.
exactly on the point, 2.5 miles, and it is.
Ooh.
This is kind of like a statement that I believe is true, but I don't believe we've been in any parade longer. So it's one of the longest parades that Pride participates in, and the group is usually pep band members with the full drumline. And if you ask any member, we probably have a Rodeo Day parade story. So this is the parade route. The only thing that hurts me is that it feels painfully long because every time you take a turn, you just turn and you see more of a long, straight, empty road. And then you just turn, it's like, oh, there's more. And you turn again, oh, there's more. And
Well,
that's kind of the
there's-
feeling.
There's the walk back to the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't start the
You
same
did-
place. You don't stop the same place where you start.
Yep. So you see where the finish is and where the start is.
You go
Yeah.
all the way around that corner of Aho and 6th. Like,
Yeah.
you go like all the way over there.
And obviously, with this parade, there's always the issue of horse poop. And
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's actually the
And Taco
longest.
leading the parade.
It's the
Oh,
longest
yeah.
non-motorized parade.
That's all. Yeah.
Like,
That's right.
because there's no. It's all horse-drawn.
Yeah, it's all horse-drawn. There's no
There's no cars that drag like
floats or anything.
floats or anything like that. So it's the longest going unmotorized parade.
Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, as far as a story for me, my rookie year one was okay because the entire day was overcast and very cool and chilly. So it kind of balanced out the pain and the heat that I was creating by marching. But this last year, it was, if you guys remember, it was a very hot day. It was sunny. It was brutally hot, not a cloud in the sky the entire time. And we started the parade. And usually, like, it's good to start the parade because you start early, you end in the middle of the day, so it's not super hot yet. It was super hot, and it was, yeah. And
Funny.
That's why there aren't a lot of parade bands in Arizona.
There you go.
It's funny because last year, I remember specifically, I was playing tuba, or not, 2 years ago, our freshman year. I was playing tuba. It was freezing cold. Like, it was like, I don't know, 35 or 36 or something when we
The
started.
uniforms felt good because they were warm.
It felt awesome, but the mouthpiece does not feel good.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
No, I remember that. Yeah.
Bunch of brass
'Cause
players
that
in
was-
here, yeah.
That was like 2018, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was there for that one.
It was Grant's first year.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rodeo Day Parade, lots of fun, lots of pain. If you're in Arizona high school that marched this parade, I also feel bad for you. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on here. How large is Bear Down Field, which is the main field that we rehearse on, which is the field that we rehearsed on today. So
Are we going by square yards?
yeah, we're going by yards. So if a normal football field is 100 yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's shorter than a full football field.
It's got to be
Technically, a normal football field is 120 yards because there's 10 yards in
Right.
each end zone.
That's
Yeah, are
also
we
true.
including end zones?
No, we're only including straight up yard value because that's the furthest. I totally forgot about the 10 yards in each end zone, even though I definitely should know that. But so
Okay.
if a normal football field is 100 yards, how large is Bear Down Field?
It's got to be 80 because I think
Alright.
it's top 10. on each side.
And you guys are correct.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
80 yards. It is a only partially sized field. The 40-yard line is the center, which definitely confused me when I first rehearsed there. It's the main rehearsal spot for the POA besides the main stadium, and we also sometimes, during band camp, we'll sometimes rehearse on McHale Field, which is a natural grass field. Also,
Grass
one of the
rehearsal.
more painful fields to rehearse on because
Oh, yes.
when it monsoons, there's muddy spots and you twist ankles. It's a whole mess. But
One of my favorite parts of the season is introducing the freshmen to the swamp that is McHale during monsoon season.
that is true.
I've got a good trivia question for you. It's actually not called McHale Field. Isn't it called like Jefferson Field?
Yeah.
So that would be a good trivia
Yeah,
question.
That's
Section
also true.
Jefferson.
I just know that we usually call it McHale Field because it is just right next to McHale, and we're
Yeah.
usually ones that paint lines on it. So, all right, what tempo is pregame at? This is a little more drum major oriented, but this is, by the way, straight off of what my sheet music says. So if it's wrong, it's my sheet music, not me.
I think
We run it.
changed it, if I'm not mistaken. I think we changed it from the
I
sheet.
think Diego should answer this one.
We run it at 144.
All right, let's go
Bear
ahead.
down, fight, and pregame.
Correct. That is what my
Oh,
sheet music says. So according
go.
to the Bear Down sheet music, full tempo is 144. But we have marched faster. We marched 230 BPM for the 2018 drum break, and that's only the one that we bragged about. I'm sure that we've marched faster tempos in other drum breaks, and also this is a true fact. Pregame is one of the most rehearsed and practiced part of a game day. It's the first thing that we perform when we perform for the families that come for the end of band camp, and this is one of our more iconic sets. This is the U of A set. It has gone through a lot of changes. It used to be very angled, but this is sort of the modern version we have now. I think it's probably changed over the years. This is the one from BYU 2018, the first game of 2018, first game of our rookie year. But the crossbar is also the most difficult set that I think the Pride ever does, which is where
we'll never stop meaning it.
the line at the bottom switches, and so the line goes up and this line goes down, and it creates the U of A facing the other way. And for the drum line, it's pretty simple. We just change OF into FO, and we just like face the other direction. Yeah.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Professor Ueda, ended up changing the drill. It might have been last year or the year before, so that different instruments are in the crossbar so they can move easier.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if I'm making that up in my head, but I think
I know they put piccolos in the crossbar. Yeah, just
Yeah,
because.
it was last year.
Yeah, I can't imagine a sousaphone doing the crossbar.
Yeah, don't.
Like you have
Don't try.
16 counts if you're in the center to get from there to there. So it's basically just like Godspeed, good luck, and you get sent into it.
I think I was in the crossbar during JT.
Yeah. All right,
As
this
a
one
baritone.
pretty easy. Who is the Grand Dame of the Pride of
Professor
Arizona?
Shootman.
Yes, correct.
Oh, Shirley Bertolini.
Of course,
Shirley
yes.
Bertolini.
The legendary
Yeah.
Shirley Bertolini, who was the first. Actually, I looked this up. She was the first twirler in the Jack Lee era. She was the first featured twirler for the University of Arizona, performed in 1954, and then became the longtime twirling coach, and then retired after 64 years. So this is one of the pictures of the earlier days, and this is one a little more modern. But even though she's retired, she actually still comes to the game. She's still very involved. I know last year she sits like right in front of the twirlers because the twirlers are usually right on the field level, and she usually gets a chair right there, especially for them. But there's a very awesome YouTube video on YouTube that kind of goes through her entire life in the Pride and shows a bunch of really cool pictures of sort of how she stuck around so long and how great of a person she is. But
Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Shirley was also the first woman to wear shorts on U of A campus.
that is a very awesome fact. I'm not sure if that's true, but I would believe it.
That's
I'm
very
pretty sure because like there was something with her uniform, and she wanted to wear shorts because it's
Right.
just a lot easier to
Because I mean,
twirl
if you
in.
look at this uniform, she's just wearing the drum major uniform,
Yeah,
which
and
I
so
can't imagine is very comfortable for the things you have to do for twirling. You know,
I'm pretty sure that she was like one of the first women to wear shorts on U of A campus.
that is super awesome. And
I like how that also implies that they always had to wear pants before, and
right,
Arizona is hot as
yeah.
fuck.
Oh, seriously.
Like even years later, I'm sure Arizona was still pretty hot back then.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that is the conclusion of our little trivia. Questions not super
Okay.
difficult,
That
but
wasn't so bad. Okay.
Yeah.
I was expecting like
I tried to base this
don't know.
more around like answers that I hope you guys would have gotten instead of going back to how some of the other questions that I've done that are very like date and year specific.
yeah.
Like
I was expecting like when was Wilbur born, or like what's Wilma and Wilbur's anniversary?
Yeah,
or something
like,
like
I
that.
now
was-
I'm going to use those in the
We'll do it
future.
I was
but-
preparing for the worst.
There was a question I asked last week, which was how many bands competed in Band Day in 2019?
40.
So stuff like
40.
that. 40. Yeah, it was 40. And then like when did the Pride of Arizona become the Pride of Arizona, and when did U of A change school colors? So
That's a good one.
yeah, and it was really funny. I was I'm just going to tell the story again because I find it hilarious. So the reason they changed colors was because a student manager for the football team needed more jerseys, and it was cheaper to get red jerseys with, or I think, blue jerseys with red trim. And because of that, they just changed the entire school's colors to red and blue.
Down.
And over the years, it became cardinal red and navy blue. But,
Hey, I'm down with that.
yeah, and it was in 1900, so just
I
before the
look better.
inception of the
I look
brand.
better in red and blue, anyways.
I don't know. I kind of like sage and silver.
Sage and Silver is pretty cool. But, I mean, Sage and Silver is now very, like, it's funny because if you go on a tour of the University of Arizona, the tour guide will almost always mention, what are the original U of A school colors? And people will be like, red and blue. It's like, wrong. Sage and Silver. And it's like, oh, it's so crazy. It's so cool. And the fact is that it was only changed because it was probably like 20 cents cheaper to get the blue jersey than to get the green jersey.
Wrong again, because in all the pictures I've seen of the school colors, they've all been black and white.
There you go. Truth
Well,
exposed. Original U
Yeah,
of A
You figured
Black,
it out,
all of
Max.
you.
There you go.
black and white and
Figured it out.
sometimes shades of gray.
You're the host, right? You can kick him out.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? He was in my rookie class. I'm used to it at this point.
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm counting the minutes, man.
Thin ice, man. Thin ice. All right. So let's go ahead and move on a little bit to a little bit more of a Q&A sort of thing. So obviously, just like before, these are questions that either current Pride of Arizona members have, that previous members have had, or these are just questions that they have heard. So there's not too many here, but I'm going to try to mix them up with different ones. All right. I liked asking this one every year, or every podcast. So why did you choose the instrument you're currently playing? Would you switch if ever given the option?
Yes.
All right. So go ahead and explain yourself, Jake. Why would you switch your instrument?
I'll start with why I played it. Yeah, I talked about my dad before was my teacher. I started on trumpet like Diego in 5th grade, and then in 6th grade I moved to baritone. We actually had baritones, not euphoniums.
Yeah, baritone.
And they were pretty crusty and old, but they still played well. Whatever. So I switched to baritone, and then in 7th grade, whatever tubas we had at the middle school, they were going on to high school. So I was like, "Hey, kind of need some tuba players." And he's like, "Well, you play baritone, and you just play tuba." And I was like, "Okay." And we had these. They make 3/4 size tubas. So the one that I have is a full size 4/4. They also make a 5/4, which is kind of like typical if you're pretty serious into it. They also make a 6/4, which is like for like huge German dudes playing like like they're massive, like it's ridiculous. But we had a 3/4 tuba in middle school, so it was pretty compact, pretty small. So I played that, and then I just kind of stuck with it. You know, I played trombone in high school too, but I would definitely switch in a heartbeat because that thing is so heavy. I'm just kidding. No. I love it. But there is times, and I told this to the drum majors before. Tuba is not my favorite instrument. It's to play or to listen to, and I don't think it's typically, you know, if you play like an instrument that's not super soloistic, I don't think it's typical of the player to think, oh yeah, my instrument is the best, because there's a reason why it's not super soloistic. I mean, it's cool to hear a tuba solo. It's like, oh wow, that's, you know, unique. That's normally the term that people use. Oh, that's
It's unique, not good. It's
something.
unique.
I don't know. But you know, just, you know, it's not something that you're like, yeah, Tyler, dude, tuba is so, oh my gosh, I could listen to it all day. No, my actual favorite instrument to play is piano, and you know, I'm not particularly great at it or anything. I took lessons for 2 years in like beginning of high school, end of middle school, and you know, just kind of stuck with it. I played it in a little bit in jazz band, so I have a little bit of that theory as well. But to me, piano is just the most fun because you have all the notes right in front of you, and you just have to press something and it goes. There's no out of tune.
That's true.
No, there's no intonation. So as much as, you know, the work comes in like mastering movement of fingers and chords and multitasking for piano, you know, the challenges are just different. So
Right.
it's definitely, you know, to answer the question, I don't think I would switch. I enjoy playing tuba. when I want to. That's the best way of answering it.
Yeah. And
There you
maybe like a follow-up question for all of you guys to answer after you answer the first one is, if you had to switch instruments, what instrument would you switch to?
Ooh.
Maybe just back to baritone?
I was thinking maybe, baritone, euphonium. It's still low brass. Actually, probably trombone. Yeah,
Trombone's fine.
trombone.
Trombones sound cool, and they have the thing that every person who first holds a trombone ever does. The glisses, just it always happens. But yeah. All right. Any of the other guys?
I can go next. No, so like I already told you guys my French horn origin story. I walked into sophomore year and I was handed a mellophone, and then I just kept playing French horn, and I liked it. But I don't know. For me, it's what kind of kept me on French horn instead of trumpet is French horn just feels better for my face a lot. Trumpet, I just don't think like my facial structure was made for that kind of a mouthpiece. Like the French horn mouthpiece and the angle and everything fits much better to my musculature and everything.
Yeah.
So I enjoy how it feels. That's the main thing. That's why I stick to French horn. But like, I don't know. I really, really love cello and strings. I've always had a fascination with them. I love like the string quartet, and I like chamber music in general, but especially string quartet and wind quintets. Just hearing all the little pieces come together and hear how they move. I like the satisfaction of hearing those things. So I think I'd either switch to like, I don't know if I'd switch to cello. I took string tech, and cello, all of them kind of hurt to play. So I don't know if I'd switch to cello. But if I had to switch to an instrument, I'd probably either play piano, just because I think it's a beautiful instrument. A good pianist is you get gigs.
They make money for sure.
Yeah,
You make money. Oh yeah.
You're gonna make money whatever you play. Yeah, if you're, yeah. Or I would play drum set. I love percussion. I would honestly, if I could go back and do something different in high school, I would have joined the drum line.
Drumline's great. I mean, I played clarinet in high school, and when I came here, it was like, oh, I could try it for clarinet, or I could try it for drumline. I'm like, I'm just gonna try it for drumline. If I get cut, then I'll just play clarinet. Kind of glad I didn't get cut. So
Yes.
Yep, now I'm here. So yeah, cymbals are fun though. But yeah, all right. Max, hobby.
After you, Javi.
Well, I started off playing trumpet. I feel like if you ever play brass, you always start off fifth grade trumpet. Like, I feel like that's most of the time that's the case. In seventh grade, I moved to baritone, and then eighth grade, I moved back to trumpet, then to tuba. In middle school, I was like 4'7". Right, I was tiny. And so we didn't have I'm pretty sure even like a 3/4 size tuba. Like, I had a chair in front of me. Like, there's two chairs. They were facing each other, and I had to set the tuba on top because like I couldn't put it. Like, I needed it to be lower, and even then I was still like this far short. So I just didn't have to reach. And like the mouthpiece was like. And then I went back to trumpet my freshman year, and then the second semester of my freshman year, I did baritone, and I just stuck with baritone after that. For some reason, all my directors have always had me switch instruments one way or the other. Every director I've had, except for my elementary school director. But if I had to switch, I'm kind of like in the same places like Diego. Cello is like the euphonium of the strings. And a good euphonium solo, just there's so much versatility inside of the euphonium. You can play low, you can play high, and it just has this nice, mellow, deep sound. And I just love that about the cello. So if I had to choose one, it'd probably be cello or the didgeridoo.
Oh, Nice.
I'm just kidding. No. Okay, literally, one of my like goals is to like learn how to play the bagpipes.
Yeah.
The ultimate
Whatever, like,
flex, dude. Yes.
There's something so fascinating about the bagpipes.
I've always wanted to learn banjo, like just I
Ooh,
I
yes.
learned a few guitar chords, but like banjo, whip that thing out.
Dueling banjos. Yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd be
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
Learn how to play banjo, then call yourself Andy Bernard.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I'm
Game
more of an
set
oldie
match.
kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. Max, you gotta.
So it all starts in elementary school. So I played clarinet, and contrary to popular belief, I did not join because of Squidward. I joined because my grandfather, I forgot what we were talking about. And I might have told him I was supposed to pick an instrument. Like my mom made me and my siblings all pick an instrument, and she said, if we got to do it for at least 1 year, and if you don't like it, we can quit. And so I had to pick an instrument. My sister chose violin, went to orchestra. My brother chose trumpet. So I had to choose something different. And my grandpa brought up Benny Goodman because he listens to that kind of music. And he's like, so clarinet sounds great. So I picked up a clarinet. And then in middle school, I played in 6th grade. And then my band director, like all band directors do, they made me switch instruments. And so I picked up a bass clarinet. And I wasn't too sure about it, but then I really grew it, and I'm still playing it now, so that's great. And Jake said earlier that people who play their instruments don't usually like it, or it's their favorite instrument. Well, I think bass clarinet is the best instrument ever created because it's got that low, crunchy range.
You're lying.
It can carry a vocal really easily. Wait, what did you say, Jake?
He said you're lying.
You're lying.
Well, okay, you just don't know the truth, is what it is. It's got that low range, and it's got that soprano range. You can hit all that. It's like a baritone, similar-ish.
True. Bass clarinet is pretty dope.
Yeah,
I
I
like
like
that.
that. Sounds great.
I do like the sound of bass clarinet.
I like learning bassoon in woodwind tech. That was actually one of my favorite ones, but the double reeds are just so expensive. It's just,
Yeah.
It's
Like
nicknamed,
especially, yeah. Like having to
nicknamed
like,
the burping bedpost.
yep, or the screaming bedpost, depending. But yeah, like having to. I've had friends that like have played double reed instruments, and I've seen them make their own reeds or have to buy the super. It's like that is a level of minutia I don't even want to get near. So like I'm chilling with my Van Doren 3.5s and the clarinet. I played V21s, by the way, in high school. Just saying. So.
Bougie.
They just the package looked pretty.
Dude, I played Rico up until like sophomore year.
Oh Lord.
Oh, gross.
Ooh.
And then I found a Van Doren 3.5 somewhere, so I just played it, and it sounded awful because there's 3.5 on bass clarinet.
Yep. Yeah. I played I actually played like a 4 thickness reed, but it was a Leger plastic reed. So those are like by default a little bit thinner for me, but
Thinner? Oh, I thought they were thicker. 'Cause
Really?
I got a 2 3/4, and that was pretty nice, but it felt like a 3.
huh. Maybe I just got like, oh, you know what? The Leger I got was like a hand-me-down. So, because I mean, wait, you can do that with a plastic reed because you can actually wash them and you won't damage them.
So gross.
Yeah, still gross. But like, I wouldn't do that with like a plastic cover, like black reed.
Oh yeah,
It's like-
those were even worse.
Yeah.
It's like handing people your mouthpiece. Like, yeah, it's
yeah.
like hard plastic or
Especially
metal. You can
now.
still clean it.
Especially now,
That's
maybe
still
not
kinda
necessarily
gross.
sharing. I mean, I also had a power barrel for my clarinet in high school, so I was a
Nice.
blaster. It was bad.
oboes at my high school, you know how they have a little water cup?
Mhm.
They shared it. And I wanted to like
Oh no,
up every time I
That's
saw
so gross. I'm sorry.
that's not good.
We had one oboe player.
a little cup. You can bring like a Dixie cup or something.
Yeah.
That's the real reason why a lot of high schools only have one oboe player.
Yeah.
So they don't share the cup.
Oh, that is so disgusting.
That's
And, like,
gross.
I know the oboe player we had like a little like a medicine capsule, and that was her reed cup for her water. But like I can't imagine sharing. That's no thanks. That's
Sorry, I kind of got us off track with that bass clarinet being the best instrument.
Yeah. But if you had to
Can't
change.
buy it though, so don't change my mind.
Okay.
Anyway, so bass clarinet, and of course my middle school was a marching band, so I marched bass clarinet for my 7th grade year, and that was absolutely terrible. Never do that. I'll tell you, it's not a good instrument for marching.
Really?
Unless you have like 7 of them, which no one ever does, then that would be great. But
To Barry Sachs, like
Exactly.
Yeah, that's honestly.
it's even worse. It's heavier.
How's that even worse? It sounds
Well,
better.
it sounds better, but like it's heavier, bigger reed, bigger mouthpiece, harness instead of just a neck strap. I don't know. Call me crazy.
Crazy.
Oh man.
So I didn't play my 8th grade year, and then I didn't want to march bass clarinet again because it was so awful. So I asked my director, I'm like, so hey, I'm going into high school. What can I march? He's like, well, the world's your oyster. Pick an instrument. And so I asked my dad what I should play, and he said his favorite instrument was French horn. And I was like, yeah, I want to play French horn. He's like, well, you can't do that either. You can't march French horn.
Oh.
And so he's like, well, they'll teach you mellophone when you get there. All right, cool. So I went there, learned mellophone, played that through high school, stuck with it, and here I am, bass clarinet and mellophone.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely had those sort of multiple instrument experiences, and I also had like the clarinet passed down to me from like my dad. So I had the like really old closet clarinet that I brought in, and I was like, yeah. But I broke my thumb rest on my clarinet by putting my clarinet together. I squeezed too hard on the bottom joint, and it actually bent the like thumb rest in, and when I tried to bend it back out, it just snapped off.
How'd they
So
get you?
I marched a season without a thumb rest because I couldn't. You have to have like very specific screws for the very specific one. I put wads of duct tape and then taped over that and made that my thumb rest
Oh no!
because it was section color day, so our section color was blue, so we had blue duct tape. I'm like, whatever, and I just like taped it together. I'm
Dude.
like, this works, and it was terrible.
You know, there was at least one parade judge that was like, he was like watching you guys march or something.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
he's
it was
just
okay because
talking-
I never did a parade competition with it because I was drum major at that point, so I didn't need to worry about that.
Oh,
But I'm
okay,
sure
okay.
there was a judge that made a comment like, "Why is there like a wad of duct tape on the back of that kid's clarinet? Like,
You
what's
guys are
going
looking
on?
good so far. Your turns are all good. Is that duct tape?
Is that duct tape?
Is that
Like, what's that blue mass on the back of the clarinet?" All right, so let's go ahead and move on to one more like slightly funnier, a little more interesting question. So in the Pride of Arizona, something that some people may not know is that we have a lot of hats for different things. So I'm wondering what your guys' favorite Pride of Arizona hat was.
You mean like uniform or free ones that we got?
In general. So it could be a
And you-
free one that you had to wear as a uniform once and don't have to, and now everybody's getting their hats.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. So while they're getting theirs, do you two have it? Because I have one right over there that's like my hat. And I know I see Javi's wall of hats behind him, but
So I've got a couple. I mean, each year during the Veterans Day game, we get
Oh, yeah.
really awesome hats, and I'm kind of split between these two. These are the only two ones I've ever gotten from them.
Yeah.
Like the American flag one or the
camo
Force
one.
digital
Oh, yeah.
camo. Oh, that's awesome with like the American flag on the back.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
I think this one's probably my favorite though, honestly.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I don't have many clothing items that are green and will match with green. So usually, we used this hat last year, but this has become one of my favorite U of A hats. Is the black Arizona Arts that says the Pride of Arizona Marching Band on the back. This is like my go-to hat. And then
Yeah,
I
I like
have
that one
one
too.
more hat that I think Max, you might know about this gig. Jake might know about it as well. But our rookie year, we played at the Diamondbacks game for U of A Day. Yeah, Max is gonna go get it. All right.
Yeah.
I don't even, yeah,
Those
that
were
is.
cool hats.
Those were the sickest
Forgot about
hats that I
those.
ever. Yep, I still have my
Yeah.
hat over there too. Yeah,
I didn't go to that gig. I never got one.
yeah. I mean, like going
you
to
guys,
this.
you guys came. You guys
this
came
was-
back with those, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, this was the
God.
first gig that we ever went to because it was like really early on during like. It might have even been during like band camp or before, like after band camp, like just after, like right when the school year started. And I heard about this gig. I'm like, I have to go. So I went, and they had the thing full of the hats, and we had that like water like area that we were at, and I got one of those hats. By far the sickest hats. I love them.
Wasn't that our first pep band gig?
I'm not sure. I just know that they needed drumline people.
Yeah,
to
it was
run,
the first
so-
pep band gig of the season.
That was my first pep band gig ever.
They needed drumline people, so like any volunteers, and I was a rookie. I'm like, I'll do it, and I got the sickest hat out of it. So
Honestly, I like the Pride of Arizona hats that we got last year.
those are very cool.
These ones,
Like-
the material they're made out of is like
Oh yeah, nice and
So
thin.
nice.
Yeah,
And then
For
like they had the Pride of Arizona on the back, our logo. I don't know. It was just
Although I have to say, I like to keep it simple. I think the Arizona Arts hat is my favorite.
yeah.
And
We
you
wore
guys
those
are
marching around
awesome.
Disneyland. Those ones were.
those are
Ooh,
cool.
yeah, the digital camo one as
I
well.
like the camo ones. These were for
Yeah. Our rookie year Veterans Day.
veterans.
Yep.
I have a funny
Dude.
quote. I keep a quote book of Shootman quotes. When I was in Wind Symphony these past 2 years, there were some doozies in there. So I was like, I have to start a quote book. But this was one in pep band. All right. So all right, I've written down. So Barry sax player referring to a hat that kids who went to the Diamondbacks game got for free. So there's a Barry sax player who's like, Shootman was wearing the hat. Here's context. Shootman was wearing the hat. Barry sax player was like, where did you get that hat? And then Shootman goes, no hesitation, your mom's house. It was the most aggressive thing I've ever seen. We were all like, it took us like 10 minutes to recover from that. I remember it. It was just.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's amazing.
So and you'll get the ultimate, like, just absolute
Yeah.
of rehearsals.
Yeah.
Do you have a legit quote book?
Oh, yeah, I have some.
How many quotes do you have?
Let's see. I don't know. Good 8 or so. I don't know. Not
Man.
too many, but
This goes live. You better be watching your back.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, but that's the kind. I don't know. That's the kind of stuff you look forward to. Like we have two great directors, Professor Schumann and Professor Ueda. Like, and they both are just absolutely great. And Professor Schumann always says like a whole bunch of the funny stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
Professor Ueda is also super funny.
Yeah.
So
Professor Wade is very subtle and very chill, but like every once in a while when he hits like a zinger, it's the funniest
he
thing.
catches you so off guard.
Yeah, because you don't expect it, but
Yeah.
All right.
But having
And-
two directors like them is so great.
Oh yeah, they're amazing band directors. And it's really awesome that we have somebody that kind of was there at the start of sort of Professor Shootman and Professor Ueda being at the university, and then we have kind of a nice spread of. I mean, we have 3 JT rookies, but that's besides the point. But yeah, so the last question that I'll ask that's Pride related, and then we'll start wrapping things up here, is what. This is just a very specific one for me because we mentioned it earlier with Diego, but do any of you guys have a crazy band day story? So band day, if you guys don't know, craziest time of the year. We're doing a virtual band day this year. I'm sure you guys have seen stuff about it, and if you go to the last podcast, there's information about that in the description. But it's basically a huge band competition where a lot of high school bands. It's a lot of high school bands finals for bands that may not make it to finals. You see the whole range of like the smallest bands to the really big like Catfoot and Rincon University. You see a very wide range of marching bands there. And it's a crazy day because the Pride performs twice. Once before each award ceremony, 1A and 2A, and then for 3A and 4A. One of the performances is at like 2 p.m. The other one's at like 9:45. Very late night. Our rookie year was pouring rain, and it was a very cool experience. And it ruined all of our plumes. But I'm just curious, do you guys have any crazy things that happened during band day? Because band day is a crazy day. No matter who you are, it is a crazy day. So do you guys have anything?
Oh, you guys go first.
Yeah, we'll end with
No
Diego.
one can follow Diego's story.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't have one, by the way. It's been
Okay.
very, which
I
is
have a weird one. It's not
weird.
like crazy, but like,
Oh yeah.
and it's also from high school, so like it's not necessarily college.
I mean, if it's a University of Arizona band day experience, then
So to lay out the groundwork, one of my buddies from high school, Benny Delgado. I don't know if any of you, Diego might know
Live
him.
with him. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you do live with him.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
you may or may not
It
know.
was Benny and Liam, actually.
Oh,
They had this little plastic baby doll, like this big, and like for some reason they dismembered it into like a bunch of different parts, and then they just like throughout our shows, we'd go to like, oh, we're Catfoot, we'll drop an arm here, and then we'll go to like we'll drop a leg here, and they just kept doing that. They left with one arm left. There was just a single baby arm, and they're like, Max, we could do it while we're performing. but we want you to do it during the awards. Can you drop this on the field?
Yes.
What? You want to drop it on the field? It's a weird request. Like, who? First of all, I don't even know where you got this baby from. I'm not dismembering it. And so you're just going to, okay, you know what? People pleaser. Okay, I'll do it. So I'm going on the field. And, I mean, long story short, it ends up on the field. But like, as I'm doing my salute, my plan was to do it and then drop it on the salute. Just kind of super chill about it. I go over the salute. I forget to let go. So, like, I'm just standing there like,
Maybe like the drum majors
To
were like,
this
hey,
day,
maybe
you never
they have
let
a
go.
very weird salute. You never know. Maybe they salute like
I felt so bad because it was Jeffrey. It was just Jeffrey at the time. I felt so bad because I didn't know if he thought that was disrespectful or something. But yeah,
I mean,
There's a
high schools
baby
have
on
their
my
own thing.
field.
Like, I've seen high schools like salute like this or like the side of the head. Like there's a lot of crazy.
I will tell you, my high school had the best salute. Super simple. It was just that was it.
I know my high school did a complicated. We did like a and then a round of the salute. So we had like a little more complex. And then there were the groups that did like the spread out and like pose. The guard girl does a split and they throw confetti in the air
I don't like that.
without fail.
Super
Without
simple,
fail.
Just like get it
That was
done and over with. It's not about you. It's
Yeah,
about your
I mean
band.
it's the
Come on now.
classic indoor. Like for indoor competitions, is for guard. And like the guard girl does a split and throws like
That was
glitter
the
in the air.
perfect description, Dave.
Yeah, and like they'll spread
Okay.
out and they'll go down to a knee and like
Yeah.
spin around. It's like, I mean, it's cool to watch, but I can't imagine being the guy that has to pick glitter out of the football field or anything like that. But
Or just like glitter on the like drum majors next to them because they just throw it and it just like lands
Just
on the
throw,
drum
like-
majors that they're next to.
yeah, I don't think
guess
they
I
did
can't
it.
really
like,
talk. My form of confetti was a baby arm, so
Yeah, I don't think they did it. I'm sure no one did like anything like that my rookie year because they would have just like released their hand and just like matted together wet glitter just like falls on the ground. Just like. But yeah, how about you, Javi? Any crazy band day experiences?
I mean, I have a crazy band aid story. It's not. It's like leading up to band aid,
Yeah.
and it's when I switched to tuba.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Professor Shootman and Professor Wade asked me to switch to tuba, and I did. That was 2 weeks before band aid.
Oh, yeah. You had to learn all of the drill too. Oh my god.
But on top of that, it wasn't just like band aid. It wasn't just our show drill. I also had to learn pregame because I think I learned pregame in a week, and I learned the rest of the show in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I found out on like that Monday. So Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That was all the rehearsals I had to learn the show. And I think I showed up like an hour to an hour and a half early every day, and I went over my dots, went over the music, and
You kind of have to if you're
No,
like
it
in that
was-
position. Yeah.
exactly. I was like, okay, well, I have to perform this for Band Aid. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
So looking back on it now, would you have changed your mind or would you still do it?
No, because at that moment in time, I had changed my major to physiology. And doing that, going through that process and everything made me realize that like music is what I wanted to do. So that's when I decided I was going to switch back to music ed and everything like that. And I remember just, it was JT, so it was raining, right, for our final show. And we hit that last number where we're like snaking around, and I land like right on the 50, because that's like that was where my spot was. Land right on the 50. We're just blasting this last note, and it was so hard for me to like play because I was like in the middle of like tearing up and crying, because like it was just so crazy to think that 2 weeks ago I hadn't picked up a sousaphone. I had no idea like how to make a good sound out of the thing. So like, yeah, that's like my crazy band day story.
Yeah, I remember seeing you. I'm like, I can't imagine doing that. And I'm like a cymbal player. It's my rookie year, and I think for any veteran, no matter what level you're at, that would have been difficult. Like, No, yeah, 100%. Like I can't imagine that. So that was, I definitely had major props for you for even being able to do that. It just blew my mind. I was like, geez, okay.
Yeah. But like also like kudos to like the tuba section because they took me in. Like it would be really easy just to be like, okay, it's just a random dude who came in halfway through the season, but like immediately it was like I was part of the family.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. I remember that. I was like, oh my God, this guy is like just like tearing it up. He just like learns everything. And you know, I hate to say it, but you're better than some of those people that have been.
Well, I mean, I had to learn a whole new book, like everything, stand tunes, music, everything.
True. Yeah.
Because I had already learned the whole show on baritone,
Yeah. The whole year.
and now I had to relearn it all on tuba. So
So do you prefer tuba or baritone?
it's so hard baritone. That's actually
So hard in baritone for sure. Yeah.
But baritone. Yeah.
nothing against the tuba.
Yeah. But
But it's a sousaphone, so like it's already like a weird instrument, as like Jake can test for.
It's horrible.
But like if I had to choose, like I would do it again. Like if need be, like something happened, they're like, hey, we need you to play tuba. I'm like, okay, I'm down.
yeah. Hell
But I'm not gonna be like, you know what? I think this season I'm gonna just stick with tuba. It wouldn't happen.
Just think of it. Bring me back to baritone. Like I love you guys, but I'm gonna go.
That's literally what I say. I was like, I love you guys, but I'm not playing tuba again.
All right, so that brings us to Diego.
Hey,
Oh man, the classic.
All right, let me get situated here. So, for those of you at home, if you have seen the 2019 Pride of Arizona Band Day show, that's on YouTube. There's no doubt, very great show. You're gonna notice a little white square on the back of the drum major on the right hand side's head. We've had many attempts at guesses for what it is. So I've gotten, is that a yarmulke? I've gotten, is that he's wearing a little hat? What is that? Here's the story of what that is. So this is Band Day last year, and everything was going smoothly. I got there like super early to help with setup and everything. And for the student staff during Band Day, our big thing, TBS runs all the Tau Beta Sigma, runs all the kind of logistical stuff, really like the really, really important stuff behind Band Day. They do all of that. I know Davis. Oh. Is it Javier? Are you also in TBS?
Yep.
Yeah, so Max, Javi, and David. Okay. Yeah, so all three of you guys already know, but very important. They do a lot of work. We really, really appreciate them. But for the student staff, we mainly focus on recruitment. So we'll be wherever the high school bands go right after they perform. The student staff of the Pride of Arizona will be there, and we give a little spiel about joining the Pride of Arizona, and we give them some informational stuff about the school of music and all that kind of stuff. So the reason I explain that is we have to be dressed up professionally for this. And so me and Jeremy, who was the other drum major at the time, show up real early in the morning with, we're in like suits. And we're running around carrying heavy stuff, getting this all started. And one of the things that we had to get was in the equipment room. And so me and Jeremy walked over, and Jeremy stopped outside to talk to one of our equipment managers. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go inside. I'll get it. It's fine. I went inside and, found the thing that I had to get. I think it was like I can't even remember what it is. Probably because I hit my head. But I kneeled down to pick it up. I came up, and there's very low ceilings in the equipment room, especially in one area where there's just this giant concrete like bar that's very low. And so I came up way too fast, and I like knocked my head on it. And it didn't hurt that badly. Like I was like, oh man, that hurt. But I'm fine.
Right. Like you said it that way.
Yeah, like, oh, that hurt. It was fine.
Like, oh man, that was, no, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Totally. And I was like, okay, well, I'm fine. I'll be fine. And I walk out the door, and then I feel something like on the back of my neck. And I'm like, oh, what is that? And this is like I'm walking up to Jeremy, and I go to reach the back of my head, and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't feel normal." And I look at my hand, and it is just covered in blood. And Jeremy looked at me right when I realized, and I just looked at him, and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to go for a while. You're gonna be okay." And he was like, "Let's get you cleaned up first."
Yeah.
So we went to the bathroom and like we washed it up. I like stuck my head in the sink. I have a video because me and Jeremy are just two dudes. So I have a picture of Jeremy like messing with it because it didn't hurt at all.
Just like,
But so then so I was like, okay, time to take a break from band day for a second. And I think the best part was I had to go to urgent care. So I went to my car and I was sitting in my car and I was like, oh, maybe I should call my mom. I should probably call my mom about this because I'm gonna have to call her about like insurance stuff. And I called her and I was like, hey, and immediately she was like, what happened?
Mother's intuition right
yep.
there.
That's like she knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Just like,
and I was like, so no, everything's fine. Band-Aid is going smoothly. I hit my head and she was like, oh my God, are you okay? And she got like a little
Motherly.
Yeah, and I was like, no, it's fine. I'm gonna drive to urgent care. And she's like, you're gonna what? I was like, I promise you, there's one like right across the street. I'm really fine. Like I'm still like I didn't pass out or anything. I'm gonna be fine. And so I drove to urgent care, and I ended up getting, I think it was 7 staples in my head. I have no idea how, but I guess I didn't have a concussion.
Jeez.
I went in and they were like, hey, did you pass out? And I was like, nope. And they're like, are you feeling dizzy? And I was like, nope. And they're like, oh, you're probably
good.
And they just stapled me up. And I showed up back to band-aid like 2 hours later and talked to some high schoolers about bands.
Yep.
So that's what that thing is. It was a bandage on the back of my head.
Yeah.
Just to clear that up. Yes.
Solid.
So
there it is.
That is like the Band-Aid story, and I was because I wasn't in TBS yet. I was just drumline guy. I remember going to the drum room and talking to Jenna, who was one of the equipment managers, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Diego hit his head," and I'm like, "Oh okay." And then I see you later with the bandage on the back of your head, and I'm like, "Oh, so it was serious." And then you were like, "Oh yeah, like I was bleeding and I got staples in my head." And then we talked about it at the rehearsal after, and her she was like, "Oh yeah, Diego's." But
that's fine.
I just got the picture of Diego emerging from the dark equipment room with like blood on his hand, looking up Diego going like.
That's exactly what it was. And Jeremy was just like, oh God, what did you do?
Yeah, I'm a gopher, but you're just like your hands covered in blood.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a break for a while, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna take
God,
5.
leave me alone for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Great way to.
I remember hearing that through like
I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed in the equipment room alone anymore.
Yeah. I remember the other day before rehearsal, like you went to the equipment room and then you like crouched down. I'm like, there's the low roof. Oh man. Well, that is it's all good now, and Band-Aid was great. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping things up here. So as kind of a last thing from the drum majors, do you guys have anything you want to tell the viewers? Whether I usually like to finish up with some general college life tips. So like eat healthy, drink water, have a sleep schedule, all that basic stuff. But do you guys have anything, whether it be for returning members, for current members, for people maybe thinking about joining the Pride, anything specifically about if people want to go for drum major, maybe any tips about that? Do you guys have any things just off the top of your head to close us out here?
I would say if you were on the fence about doing the Pride of Arizona, being a member, if you're a freshman coming in or you're transferring from somewhere else, or if you're a student at the U of A already and you're thinking about joining, do it. Like, just do it. The main thing I hear from people that I talk to who have done band before and are interested in this activity is I wish I did it sooner, or I wish I did it. That's across the board. That's what I hear, is they just wish they would have done it sooner.
Yep.
So if you're thinking about it, do it for a season. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But do it for a season and really see what we're doing here. And honestly, that's true for any college marching bands that you're going to be joining. That's true. Like, just, it's such a great experience no matter where you are. You might as well just do it.
And the worst excuse is that you don't have enough time. Because let's be real, you're coming from high school. You don't know what it's like in college. I know I didn't know what college was like when I came in. And coming from me, I mean, I'm an engineer major. And, engineering's hard. I mean, it is, but it's time consuming is what they hear. It's time consuming. And, I'm in the marching band. I'm in pet band. I just got drum major, and so far it's going pretty good. I still have a social life. So the fact that you don't have time, I don't really think is an excuse. So my advice to you would be like, try it once, like Diego was saying. And if it doesn't work out the first semester, you can always quit and then realize that you really liked it and you can come back next semester.
Yep. Yeah.
Say my one tip, I guess it's kind of a tip, but get a job. It's honestly like, it's like such a, get a job, grow up.
Very dad thing.
I don't mean like that. Yeah. Yeah. But in the sense of like, find something extra to do that you can commit to outside of marching band, if you choose to do marching band. And by the way, it's 100% doable to do marching band and have a job. It is 100% doable. If you find somewhere on campus, there's, the student unions are a great place to start. The library, all the dorms have to have like people checking people in, packages, mail, all that stuff. So there's a lot of jobs on campus. It'll, give you more responsibility for sure. It'll give you something extra to do. It'll get you some money. Because like, honestly, everybody's, you have a lot of, financial responsibility when you go to college, especially if you're paying it for it, with your own money out of pocket, if you're doing loans and all of that. So might as well be making it while you're in college as well. And I know a lot of the time too, it's, we get those people who, they come in, it's just, they have to work every time that they're free outside of school. And it is what it is. I'm not going to say, rearrange your schedule for band, obviously, making sure that you get a good education first, 100%. That's your priority. But if you have the time and resources to do marching band and not be super financially dependent, on yourself, like for your own money, get a job. It's one of those things where it's just something you don't necessarily think about unless you're like, gotta get that money. But it's one of those things that helps beyond that. It shows that proves to yourself you can do two things at once or three things at once. I can go to school, I can have a job, I can do marching band. So that would be my advice.
Awesome. And finally, we have Javi.
I'm old. I'm just gonna go for it. So like, this whole stigma of like finishing your degree in 4 years, like, yeah, it's important. Like, if you can do it, because like that's super cool. Like, get started and get going. But if something happens in life and things take you a little bit longer, that's okay. Because the way I look at it, like, you're meant to finish when you're meant to finish. Taking 5 years for a degree, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've taken a little bit longer, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. But yeah, no. And I've known people who've had jobs and had to pay their rent and did marching band and still got like 3.5s to 4.0s in college. So the whole like, I don't know if I have time, or like, I just need to make sure that I can get this stuff done. It's possible. And like the rest of us have said, it's so worth it. Mm-hmm. It's so worth it to do marching band. Even just once, if you can say like, oh yeah, I did marching band once, and then it's such a fun place. You immediately have so many friends and you get to know people. I know, like, as freshmen, like, if you're living on campus, you tend to just kind of know your roommates, and that's about it. And, occasionally in class. But marching band is one of those places where immediately, if you're in a section of 15 people, that's 15 people that you automatically know right then and there. And it just expands from there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my lifelong friends will be from marching bands, whether that be in high school, the 2-year college I went to, or U of A. So,
right.
One of the things that Professor Schumann says all the time is, in terms of, I guess we're talking about like doing marching band and making the time. It's like, if your friends are saying, you do marching band, if that's a social pressure for you, if they're doing that to you, they're not your friends. And there's a whole family that will support you for your choice to do band. It's
right.
I know what it's like. Oh, marching band, you're a nerd, whatever. Sure, that's it. Be proud of it.
Yeah.
Doing something that so many people don't get to do. You get to be on TV.
Free football games. Like,
oh my God, there's so many like perks that you don't even realize. They just take it at face value, like marching band, and they see that funny hats and the uniforms, and they're like, "That's so dorky." It is. Do it anyway. It's like
great. It's so much fun.
The good outweighs the bad. Even if you call being dorky bad, it's not.
right.
Dork is the new cool. No, but what I was saying before, it's if your social sphere, if those people that you like interacting with, and you call your friends, if they're telling you not to do something that will not put anybody in harm's way, will not put you in harm's way, and they're telling you no, that you should find some new people to hang out. That's like the hard truth about it. It's like those people aren't going to be there for you. So marching band is filled with those people that are going to be there for you,
100%.
and will support you through no matter what. So
yeah.
Also, there's a lot of cool moments that come from it. Like, here, let me stop my video really quick. We got to take a picture with the pep band, and that's Magic Johnson.
There you go. Yeah.
Like,
awesome.
Tell me how that's nerdy, getting to take a picture
Facts.
with Magic Johnson. Professor Schumann was able to shake hands with Nick Foles when he came to one of the Pac-12 tournament games. Like, Raleigh Alkins, I'm pretty sure he plays for the Chicago Bulls. I got to like meet with him and like talk with him for a little bit. So like, there's so many cool things like being in an athletic band that I don't know. I just wouldn't change it for the world. Like, change it for anything to have the experiences that I've had.
Right.
Not one bit.
Yeah. And I know, like, for this might be different for some of you high school people, but at the University of Arizona anyway, like, the football team loves us. All of the crowds love us. The president of the university loves us. We are a loved organization on campus, and they say this a lot, but a lot of the time you'll be walking around and people will notice if you're wearing a Pride shirt or you're wearing a U of A hat, or a Pride of Arizona hat. Like, that is something that gets you noticed, and people will realize, like, this is somebody that has the commitment to see something through, to participate in something bigger than themselves. I mean, there's nothing that beats that on the field sort of experience with the lights going, the fireworks going off, you're getting ready to do your first pregame, and it's a feeling that you will literally never forget. So yeah, there's no reason not to do marching band, especially since you will be one of the coolest people in the stadium on a game day. Like, it's so great. You lead chants. You are basically the top cheerleaders of the football team. And even if a lot of us may or may not understand football completely, it is something that we enjoy a lot, and I recommend it. So, any of you guys have anything else, or?
One more thing. I'm sure there's probably a lot more questions that we could be answering, and of course some that weren't asked. But if anyone who's watching this podcast, whether you're in high school, or you're in college now, or you're an alumni, or even a parent or something, you can find. I think all of us are on Facebook, and I'm sure I'll speak for them and say that you can reach out to any of us. If you just want to catch up with the band, ask any specific questions. If you're in the band and you want to try out for a leadership spot, you can ask us questions for sure.
Yep.
yeah, we're pretty much open to that. I am. I'm sure they will be too.
I am not on Facebook, but I am on Instagram. So if you want to hit me up on Instagram,
Yeah.
I am on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
Yes.
Instagram, Facebook, all the hip sites,
Yes.
But yeah, that's a great point. Reach out to any of us. We're going to be more than happy to answer any questions or anything that you have. It's a great program.
Yep.
There's a reason why we're all here.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we're on this podcast right now.
Absolutely.
It means a lot to a lot of people.
Yes, 100%.
Really great.
All right. So with that being said, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. And I want to thank all of you guys for watching. Again, if you want to contact any of these people to ask any questions about drum major, college marching band, college, anything, you can contact me. You can contact them. I will also try to make sure that their section Instagrams are in the description. So the instruments that they originate from. You guys got to make a drum major Instagram. That'd be really cool.
There will be 0 posts on it.
Yeah, I don't.
All four of us are terrible at social media.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
we already had this discussion.
we talked about this already.
The first picture will be like a super close-up selfie, just like.
Yeah.
hello, Instagram.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, anyway, reach out to any of these guys. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Bear down, go Cats. We'll see you next week.